Well, good afternoon to all of our listeners, all 32,000 of them. Today we have a couple of great guests talking about a fantastic project in the peninsula. Lizanne, principal of Parkland Secondary, and of course our MLA for Saanich and the Gulf Islands, Adam Olsen. Good afternoon to both of you.
Hi, good afternoon.
So Lizanne, I'm been involved with this project for maybe a year. You've been involved with it for a lot longer than that. Why don't you tell us actually what is the Parkland 2021 track project? What is it all about?
Sure. So Parkland has a track and it's old, very old. It was installed in 1986, so that makes it almost 35 years old, and that is well beyond its life. So, and in fact, the state of the track right now is there's weeds growing through it. There are potholes on the track. You can actually grab a hunk of it and pull it off if you're so inclined. There's also a little sign up from the district that says light use only, because it's actually really not safe to run. Although, if you're careful and you're used to cross country running, it could be just fine. So I've been at Parkland. This is my 9th year at Parkland, and when I arrived, there was a committee working to try to fundraise and come up with ideas to replace the track. And so this is, and it predates even me being here. So this has been something that's been bumping along in the background for quite some time. And because it's such a big project, it does take a lot of sort of focused attention over time to sort of navigate the various hurdles to get to a point where we're ready to launch. So with the support of Memorial Park Society through Brad Edgett, and with you, John, coming on and helping us with the fundraising, we've been able to sort of get approval for this from the board at our district, get approval from the Memorial Park Society board. And we've been very fortunate also to have Holy Cow, the marketing and advertising company that's based in Sydney, to be able to help us put together a package to launch. So kind of that's where we're at, but we've also, Brad Edgett at Memorial Park Society has been working on some grants with the support of Adam Olsen and Elizabeth May, our 2 representatives in this area. So we're, because it's a big ticket item, and we certainly, I can't imagine being able to raise the amount of money required without some support from federal and possibly provincial grants.
In that budget for a top-notch full athletic in a grass and track facility is in the neighborhood of about $4 million.
Yes,
okay.
This is what the price tag for. See, currently we have a 6-lane track, and that's fine. But we decided, a couple of years ago when we were, thinking about launching this project in a very significant way, that if we're going to take the time to fundraise and to redo the track, let's look at something with 8 lanes, because if you have an 8-lane track, then you can have BC School Sports certified meets. There could be masters meets, potential for Indigenous games. Any kind of more kind of formalized significant meet requires an 8-lane track with all of the facilities. So we thought, well, you know what, let's go for it. So we selected that model. It's close to $4 million to build, and we know that's a lofty goal. And so we, upon reflection, decided, well, maybe we can have a plan B and a plan C, because we really have to do something about the track. Like, it's not really an option. Something has to happen to it. Yeah. Either it gets ripped up, taken away, and we just have a big field, or we resurface it. So our plan B is to take the existing track, take off, remove it, and then replace it with a rubberized 6-lane track with and upgrade all of the field facilities. So if we can't meet the 4 million goal that we've set for an 8-lane track, we'll go for the 880,000 version, which would be a 6-lane track.
So just Adam, a bit of context for my question. I've been involved with the development of recreation facilities, um, sport leagues, wellness, and etc. throughout the region for all of my life. Um, when I was chair of the chamber downtown during the time of the Vancouver Olympics, we tried very hard through an organization called Sport Host to bring some of that activity over here. We were able to get some training activity over here. Of course, all of my kids, which is a mission critical piece of all of this, they were all involved in sport, and I think personally that's what every kid should aspire to for a sort of a lifelong commitment to fitness and wellness. I then was intimately involved with all of the City of Langford activity in terms of getting the rugby team out there and getting numerous national teams to settle out there. And that was a real commitment by Stu and the council to build their community around fitness and wellness and recreation. And so really that's something that we, besides the literal activity of track and field, there's this broader goal of enhancing these themes on the peninsula. And you're certainly advocating and helping us, but I'd like to hear more about your thoughts on what this might do for the peninsula and the region in terms of what I've just talked about.
Well, I'm just, I'm thinking about, thank you for this opportunity. I think thinking about the track facilities in the greater Victoria area, I think that there are few and far between. Centennial Stadium is, I think, a facility similar to what Lizanne was describing.
Yeah.
But then I can't think of another. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of another facility that has an 8-lane track like this in the greater Victoria area. Do any of the other? So, yeah. So, shaking the head, no. So, I mean, I think that this is actually a bigger opportunity than just for the Saanich Peninsula. Although, as the MLA for Saanich North and the Islands, I clearly, you put the focus on it. On it being a definite benefit for the Saanich Peninsula. I think you reference what Stu Young has done in Langford and out on the West Shore, and I think he's really shown that if you build it with a vision, that it can be something more than just a track, a flat piece of infrastructure that people can use for various reasons. That people will come and they will be attracted to it. So they built a stadium, and people thought, well, you're crazy building a stadium. No minor pro sports has been successful in this region, especially outdoors. We now have a very successful soccer organization out on the West Shore because you build it. You've got the Rugby Canada. Clearly, this region is attractive. Other than for a few months of the year,
Yeah.
you can come and train here and work out here, and
Yeah.
it other than having to send our track athletes down to the United States, where many of them go and train because of weather primarily. This is a very attractive place to train and to travel to and to visit to, and we've got the climbing wall at Stellies as an example of a successful partnership between the community and the school district and the school, and the program that can be developed out of that can attract students from across the country to a school that has a climbing gym and that could be part of the team. Similar could be done here for Parkland, and it's not just when you take a look at the three high schools on the Saanich Peninsula, and you start to think about what the opportunities are for even just as an educational program. And none of those schools, at least in my experience, have really strong track and field programs, but with that facility could definitely, and you don't need to build one at each of the schools. You could have them training at that facility.
Totally.
We happen to know, just in terms of athletics are the base movements, and I think that this is something that really needs to be highlighted that when you're talking about, I used to work for the Aboriginal Sports and Recreation Association of BC, and worked alongside a lot of the provincial sport organizations. And athletics features the base movement of the base kinetic movement. So running, jumping,
Throwing.
these are throwing. That's right. These are just the most base movements, and everything else gets built off of that. So every other sport is in some way focusing on those base movements. And so for a foundational athletics or foundational recreation on the Saanich Peninsula or across the region, to not have an athletics facility is actually and to get your kids into sport. I was given the advice to say, well, which sport should I put my kids in? Start with athletics. And you say like gymnastics is another one of those sports that you start with gymnastics, because your children then develop an ability, a keen sense of what they're good at, what they're strong at, and then you can start to determine, what kind of
Specialty
a
sport.
journey you're going to take into sport.
Yeah.
But more than that, I think that's the athletics piece, that's the competitive piece. And oftentimes people look at this kind of investments and say, well, why is it that we're spending $4 million or 800,000 or whatever the number is on these elite, competitive sport? You build the track facility so that you can build a competitive or an excellence based athletics program that then can, for adults or for youth, for students. But you also recognize all of the other recreational opportunities that come out of that. And I think that this is something that really often gets lost in the mix, because it's very easy to argue against a $4 million investment for a small group of people that are going to use it for a performance-based program. But when you take a look at what the opportunities are for the community to be using these facilities for community access, and just in recreation, I've written a lot about on my blog about the life-changing experience that I had when I just started to walk. And it's a very, talk about a base movement, that's a base movement. And so my health and well-being journey started by just getting up and going out for a walk in the morning. And for many of the residents on the Saanich Peninsula, any kind of elevation change is going to be a challenge. Whereas if you're on a track, if you can just be moving around in a very safe facility, we're now talking about opportunities for rehabilitation. We're talking about opportunities for seniors to be walking in a very safe place, in a very controlled environment and atmosphere. When you think about it, the snow, for example, you could clear the snow off of a facility like that and provide a great space for people to continue to have their recreation. Whereas, on the street, it gets a bit sketchy and you don't really want to be walking through trails or on streets. So you now start to create a facility and a space where the community can gather, where the community can recreate, and yes, absolutely, where the community can perform. And I think that there is a really important aspect to not undermine the performance aspect of this, because it's through those the aspirations of high performance athletes that we then start to learn more about our bodies, how they function, and that's really kind of the pursuit of it. Most of us will just participate at a very low level, but these facilities provide the space for greater participation. So as we're looking at creating these spaces, they need to be multi-use, multifunctional for a variety of uses. And I think when you take a look at the investment at $4 million, that's a big number. I don't want to undermine how big that number is. It's a large number, but I also don't want that number to be something that drives us away from having this conversation, because as you start to think about the various ways that the community can invest in itself, the community can attract investment from outside sources. The community can bring the business community together to see how they can participate and be seen as partners in this facility. And then when you start to amortize that investment over the lifespan of a facility like this, it really is actually not a big investment that needs to be, from a financial perspective, for the benefit that it can have for generations of people.
Well, I've a good part of why I've been involved with this industry. I call the business of sport an industry over the last 20 years is in many parts because of its economic development impact on a community. So whereas there's going to be a construction piece, there's going to be tournaments, either regional, provincial, national, international. The Commonwealth Legacies Fund that landed into Sporthouse Victoria, which then became the Greater Victoria Sport Commission, and they're going after tournaments with the thinking that this track will be there. For example, Invictus Games. To bring those games here, we need a track besides Centennial Stadium. And the hope is that over. So now, what would that becomes a community activity that generates enormous amounts of economic development and business development. And so, and every tournament, track tournament of any kind of size, brings with it, in some cases, thousands of parents. And so there's the infrastructure cost to build the community. And then the multiplier effect that happens once the facility starts to work. And I know Lizanne has thought about that and has encouraged that in your conversations with local stakeholders, I guess especially the school board, right? I mean, there are other pieces to this than just building the mechanics of a track.
Yeah, I think you've touched, between the two of you have touched on the really important pieces. I spoke a little bit about, the benefit to the school, but like, as you said, John, the economic, multipliers that would come out of something like this. And Adam was talking about the benefit to the community. It's been very interesting because as I'm looking straight out at the track, and early in the morning, there are community members walking around the track after school, and it has absolutely increased since we've entered this COVID era, because I think people are looking for ways to get outside, ways to be active, things to do with young families. So it's really neat to see everything from everybody, from young families to older couples. As you were saying, Adam, it's a really nice sort of regulated flat surface. We've got a few couples that come every single day. So I think a project like this is beautiful in that it provides opportunities for young people and students in schools, and it could be, as you said, a magnet for athletics programs on the peninsula and even beyond, and at the same time provide some economic stimulus for the area and an awesome facility for the whole community, because we've got the trails, like there could be, there's trails through Blue Heron Park. So there's like trails and they come, it could be a little course, where you go on the trail, then you come through, you do the loop, and then you go back out and you go around Blue Heron Park. And as we know, there's the other portion, because this land belongs to Memorial Park Society, but the other portion is where they have the soccer fields. And so there's a sort of another project that's kind of side by side with ours around getting turf fields for those. So we would have, so we've been talking about athletics, but soccer is a big, huge thing on the peninsula. Yeah. And part of this project would be like a really well-drained, good grass soccer field, which would be another asset to this area. And then if the peninsula, if the soccer club is successful in being able to put turf fields in Blue Heron, then you've got this really wonderful facility that includes athletics and soccer.
Oh yeah, like overnight it becomes a global center. Adam, my day job is to help the peninsula at Lower Vancouver Island industry work with our local First Nations communities and work in trying to find employment and get folks engaged in that industry. And numerous times it's been brought to my attention how a younger generation of First Nation people are now embracing sort of a new vision and going forward in a very positive way. And a key element to that is health and wellness and well-being, and emphasizing that as a way forward. Actually, that's a great way for all of us. And so,
Oh, yeah.
so this track, we're hoping to work with our regional First Nations partners and work together to try to enhance the health and well-being for everyone. Do you have some reflections on that yourself, or?
Well, I mean, I think that clearly the benefit of the track is to the entire community. And I think that that's probably the real strength in being able to. I mean, clearly there are different funding programs and different opportunities that I would say that are available through governments due to their impacts with Indigenous communities in the area. One of the benefits of the climbing gym here, for example, Boulders at Stellies, is my son is part of a group of First Nations kids that go up there, or were going up there prior to COVID, one night a week after school, and they were all local Saintnitch kids that went there, and it was a climbing program that was set up just for them. He'd go a couple times a week, and one of the times was for that. So clearly, I think that there is an opportunity for some specialized programming to be run by the community. There's community youth groups in each of the 4 Saintnitch villages. So there's no question that there's going to be opportunities there that come with a safer new infrastructure being built there. I think though that the real strength of that's going to be here is by recognizing the benefit that this has over multi-demographics. I think that it's important to identify what those benefits are for each demographic. That's going to be the strength of your of your program that you're putting together,
Yeah.
of your proposal that you're putting together. And as someone who then has to take those forward and articulate why it is that this should be supported, in addition to all of the other things that need to be supported, I think that the ability to articulate the benefits to a wide variety of demographics, the from a health and well-being perspective, a wide variety of demographics from an economic development perspective, and then as well, you talk about Lizanne, you were talking about the trails. I think one of the things that we've really recognized, especially in the Instagram and the social media era, is the impact that we are having on nature. And so from an environmental perspective, there is a benefit, although it's not as beautiful to go a hike around in a circle or in an oval. It is also taking some of the impact that we have in our natural spaces, which are really getting, overwhelmed by people going out and using those trails. We're really having an impact on wildlife and on those natural spaces. So this is a way for us to be able to create a safe place for people to go and train and work and get their exercise without actually having an environmental impact as well. So I think that the strength of this going forward, and the ability for me then to take it to those government ministers and to say, you really need to be supporting this. The future Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, hear me now. I'm going to be coming to you with this application saying you need to support these applications because there's just it's not just a Saanich Peninsula investment that's being made here. It's a capital region investment. I'm one of 6 or 7 MLAs in this area. There are 6 government MLAs in this area. This is actually an investment in the capital region. It's not just an investment on the Saanich Peninsula. We'll take it. It's great. We think it's going to be fantastic for the Saanich Peninsula, but there's going to be track programs that are run, community track programs that are run with youth from all of those other ridings as well. They're going to get in their car and they're going to drive out here and they're going to train and they're going to compete and they're going to participate. And then there are going to be walking clubs that are going to use that facility and right now, I think, they look at it and say, well, there's not very many people using it. I wouldn't recommend actually using it at this stage. You don't want to be walking but on a facility that's less than adequate. But once it becomes a high, once it gets renewed and that infrastructure gets upgraded and updated, then yes, of course, we can actually invite the community to come and use it on a daily basis, multiple times a week, multiple user groups. We can have that facility fully prescribed, for the entire year, and not feel like we're endangering people.
Well, this has been a fantastic summary. Thank you so much, Lizanne and Adam. I think as a recognition of your time and effort, I think we're going to make Adam an honorary alumni of Parkland.
I don't want it. I mean, I love Parkland, but I'm a Stinger. I love the Panthers. I've got Panthers. Hold on a second.
Okay. Right on. Oh, well, I didn't expect this, Lizanne. Okay.
Oh, look at, you've got some socks. You have some Panther socks.
See, I love the Stingers, but
highly sought after. Where did you get those?
So I got these from I came and did a presentation with one of your grade 11, grade 12 classes, and they gave me socks.
Wow.
So while I'm a Stinger and while I don't need to be an alumni of Parkland's, I'm a Saanich Peninsula alumni, so that's good.
Hey,
I love the Panthers, but I'm a Stinger.
I'm a Mount Doug alumni, Gordon Head boy. So
we're sorry.
So it just affirms this notion that this really has a regional benefit. Thank you all.
That's right.
That's fantastic. Let's connect again maybe in a couple months and see where we're at.
Sure.
Perfect.
And absolutely, and let me know. I mean, I think that Brad sent along the application. It's been submitted. We're going to start to be in contact with those ministers as they're making those decisions, and let me know how I can help and advance this.
Oh, that's fantastic to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Nice to see you again, Lizanne.
Yeah.
You too.
See you,
Bye.
John.